Using mirrors, Diana Reese proved that dolphins can recognize themselves. And using computers, she proved that dolphins can organize their own learning and use human technology to communicate. Does this mean that animals can communicate with humans or other animals? Let's pick up with Diana Reese and then learn about her partners in a very exciting project called the Interspecies Internet.
Other animals are conscious, they're emotional, they're aware. There have been multitudes of studies with many species over the years that have given us exquisite evidence for thinking and consciousness in other animals that are quite different than we are in form. We are not alone. We are not alone in these abilities. And I hope, and one of my biggest dreams, is that with our growing awareness about the consciousness of others and our relationship with the rest of the animal world, that we'll give them the respect and protection that they deserve. So that's a wish I'm throwing out here for everybody, and I hope I can really engage you in this idea.
Peter Gabriel is a famous musician who describes his amazing encounter with scientist Sue Savage Rumbaugh and her research subjects, a type of ape called bonobo.
I make noises for a living. On a good day, it's music, and I want to talk a little bit about the most amazing music-making experience I ever had. I'm a farm boy. I grew up surrounded by animals, and I would look in these eyes and wonder what was going on there. What was amazing to me also was they seemed a lot more adept at getting a handle on our language than we were on getting a handle on theirs. I work with a lot of musicians from around the world, and often we don't have any common language at all. But we sit down behind our instruments, and suddenly there's a way for us to connect and emote. So I started cold calling and eventually got through to Sue Savage Rumbaugh, and she invited me down. I went down, and the bonobos had access to percussion instruments, musical toys, but never before to a keyboard. At first they did what infants do, just bashed it with their fists, and then I asked, through Sue, if Pambanisha could try with one finger only.
Can you play a grooming song? I want to hear a grooming song. Play a real quiet grooming song. Yeah.
So groom was the subject of the piece. So I'm just behind, jamming. Yeah, this is what we started with. Sue's encouraging her to continue a little more. She discovers a note she likes, finds the octave. She'd never sat at a keyboard before. Nice triplets. She hit good. So that night, we began to dream. And we thought perhaps the most amazing tool that man's created is the internet. And what would happen if we could somehow find new interfaces, visual, audio interfaces that would allow these remarkable sentient beings that we share the planet with access. And Sue Savage-Rumbaugh got excited about that, called her friend Steve Woodruff, and we began hustling all sorts of people whose work related or was inspiring, which led us to Diana and led us to Neil.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you.
Neil Gershenfeld is a scientist who works on combining the digital and physical worlds. He is one of the creators of the $1 web server, which has changed the way people use the internet. It has allowed many people to do inexpensive but valuable research on healthcare and energy efficiency. His work has helped a lot of people.
We started up this interspecies internet project. Now, we started talking with Ted about how you bring dolphins and great apes and elephants to Ted, and we realized that wouldn't work. So we're going to bring you to them. So if we could switch to the audio from this computer. We've been video conferencing with cognitive animals, and we're going to have each of them just briefly introduce them. And so if we could also have this up, great. So the first site we're going to meet is Cameron Park Zoo in Waco with orangutans. In the daytime, they live outside. It's nighttime there now. So can you please go ahead?
Hi, I'm Terry Cox from Cameron Park Zoo in Waco, Texas. And with me, I have Karajan and May, two of our Bornean orangutans. During the day, they have a beautiful, large outdoor habitat. And at night, they come into this habitat, into their night quarters, where they can have a climate-controlled and secure environment to sleep in. We participate in the Apps for Apes program with Orangutan Outreach, and we use iPads to help stimulate and enrich the animals and also help raise awareness for these critically endangered animals.
That's great. When we were rehearsing last night, he had fun watching the elephants. Next user group are the dolphins at the National Aquarium. Please go ahead.
Good evening. Well, my name is Allison Ginsberg, and we're live in Baltimore at the National Aquarium. Joining me are 3 of our 8 Atlantic bottlenose dolphins, 20-year-old Chesapeake, who was our first dolphin born here, her 4-year-old daughter Bailey, and her half-sister, 11-year-old Maya. Here at the National Aquarium, we are committed to excellence in animal care, to research, and to conservation. Dolphins are pretty intrigued as to what's going on here tonight.
And the third user group in Thailand is Think Elephant. Go ahead, Josh.
Hi, my name is Josh Plotnick, and I'm with Think Elephants International. And we're here in the Golden Triangle of Thailand with the Golden Triangle Asian Elephant Foundation Elephants. And we have 26 elephants here, and our research is focused on the evolution of intelligence with elephants, but our foundation, Think Elephants, is focused on bringing elephants into classrooms around the world virtually like this, and showing people how incredible these animals are.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Josh. And once again, we've been building great relationships among them just since we've been rehearsing. So at that point, if we can go back to the other computer, we were starting to think about how you integrate the rest of the biomass of the planet into the internet. And we went to the best possible person I can think of, which is Vint Cerf, who is one of the founders who gave us the internet. Vint?
Thank you, Neil. That was beautiful. 40 years ago, Bob Kahn and I did the design of the internet. 30 years ago, we turned it on. Just last year, we turned on the production internet. When Bob and I did this design, we thought we were building a system to connect computers together. What we very quickly discovered is that this was a system for connecting people together. And what you've seen tonight tells you that we should not restrict this network to one species, that these other intelligent, sentient species should be part of the system too. This is the system as it looks today, by the way. This is what the internet looks like to a computer that's trying to figure out where the traffic is supposed to go. Well, you know where this is headed. The Internet of Things tells us that a lot of computer-enabled appliances and devices are going to become part of this system too. Appliances that you use around the house, that you use in your office, that you carry around with yourself or in the car.
With the Internet of Things, appliances and devices and other things are going to be connected to the Internet. People will want to communicate with all these devices, but using natural human language like everyday speech and gestures instead of through keyboards or mice. So, people are starting to explore communication with something that is not human. Thinking beings other than people will be connected.
Now, there is a project that's underway called the Interplanetary Internet. It's in operation between Earth and Mars. It's operating on the International Space Station. It's part of a spacecraft that's in orbit around the Sun that's rendezvoused with 2 planets. So the interplanetary system is on its way, but there's a last project which the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, which funded the original ARPANET, funded the Internet, funded the interplanetary architecture, is now funding a project to design a spacecraft to get to the nearest star in 100 years' time. What that means is that what we're learning with these interactions with other species will teach us, ultimately, how we might interact with an alien from another world. I can hardly wait.